What's up? How's it going? Welcome back to the YouTube channel. Well, today I'm gonna give you guys my top two watches going into tomorrow for a short play, actually, right? So, if you take a look on Bitcoin, you could see that Bitcoin is breaking the most recent pivot low, which lays around this area of 65,425. And because Bitcoin is continuously fading to the downside and we don't have much resistance, it looks like we're going to head towards this next level at 58,660. I could see us definitely tagging this as we also have the weekly 200 day here, which is this green line. I want to play something in Confluence. So I'm not going to be trading crypto directly, but what I will be doing is that I will be watching to short coin stock. And you may ask why, right? So yes, Bitcoin is bearish, so that is one reason why. So we're playing a sector play. Number two reason being is that once we kind of put in this top, you can see we had a top pulled back, and once this top broke down here, once we broke below this 300 area, that was essentially a lower high setup, right? So lower high is now confirmed, and every single pop I see essentially is getting faded, right? So if you take a look on the moving averages, if we take a look at the moving averages, the orange line right here is the 20 EMA. And as you can see, every single time it popped up to 20, faded. Popped up to 20, popped right above it, caused like a doji candle, faded, right? And now we almost got to 20, but we faded once again. And the reason why I'm eyeing the short now, right, is because we have a short-term 8 and 5 EMA cross at the downside, as well as we are breaking down some levels, and the daily is bearish. So let me tell you guys my plan going ahead into tomorrow. Essentially, any sort of reject against 166, or if we hold below 166, I am looking for shorts towards 153 and 140. If I end up taking the shorts, I will do a breakdown video tomorrow explaining how I entered into my position as well as how I managed it. So we'll see how it sets up. Honestly, it really depends on where we are tomorrow and how we're looking like intraday, if we actually do set up and if the market is bearish in that sense, so to give us more confidence and allow us to play to the downside, right? So coin is my number one short watch going into tomorrow. The second short watch I have going to tomorrow is Spotify. So very similar. Once we pop up above the 20, right? So similar way of seeing things. They actually have very similar charts in theory. So if you can see, we pulled back here from the highs at 785, pulled back here, popped up to the upside, back to 750s. Once we broke below this most recent pivot low, which is at 614s, we kind of flushed and we just continuously rode down to 20 MA, right? So if trends are respecting the 20-day and the daily, why not continuously play the trend, right? So what I do see here is a potential lower high once again. So, pop back up, pull back, potential lower high. We really confirm the lower high if we break below the most recent low, which is at 435. Excuse me there. I talk a little fast sometimes, but we also have a very bearish Mariposa candle essentially, right? You can see if you look on the left side of the chart, I like to have a chart with no indicators at all just to see a better picture of things, but you can see that we are breaking a recent short-term uptrend. Essentially, if you do look, right, everything is playing to the downside, right? If you take a look trend line wise, like everything is to the downside, right? So why would I try to be smart and be a smartass and try to, play to the upside? Why would I try to counter trend trade if everything's bearish, right? So essentially, I will be looking for somewhat of a short entry to the downside. The levels I am watching is that any holes below 476, I will be looking to fade to the downside. So levels below 476, I'll look for a fade lower into 460s area, so 458 and then 448 and then 441. So essentially this has a lot of room to the downside as well as coin. And if I do enter it's Spotify as well, I will give you guys a trade recap tomorrow on how I did place positions. And yeah, those are my top two stock picks going into tomorrow. I will be surely to continuously eye things out to potentially shoot out more ideas. And one thing I do a lot of times is that I actually swing trade overnight. This is a swing trade I would have taken overnight, but because where I live at, there was a ton of snow outside, and I was shoveling for like 3.5 hours straight today. My body's super sore, so I'm about to go to bed. But yeah, this would have been a short position I would have taken overnight, as well as coin. These both look ready to fade to the downside of my eyes. Probably just buying puts 2 weeks out. But because I didn't take the short overnight, because essentially when you're shorting overnight, it could still gap up against you. That's why with intraday trading, you're kind of picking your spots and your positions. Swing trading, you're kind of, you buy a little more time, but you do have the the risk of something gapping up against you. So yeah, those are my two top watches going into tomorrow: Coin and Spotify. Let's see what sets up tomorrow, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.